Smothered checkmates are quite a rarity in any chess game, and that's what Paul Morphy delivers in this match against James McConnell. And Morphy is playing with the black pieces here, and James McConnell is playing with the white pieces here. It's the King's Gambit setup by pushing the pawn here, and it's the King's Gambit accepted variation, the King's Knight Gambit that is on the board right now. So the pawn is pushed here to g5, protecting the captured pawn here, not allowing it to recapture. Bishop comes to c4, developing the bishop and attacking the f7 square. Paul Morphy just brings fianchet his bishop and creates this nice little attack on the pawn here. This pawn was pushed. A better move was to bring the knight here, allowing you to develop the bishop, which actually keeps this bishop stuck here because of the threat of this capture of the pawn here. So James McDonough goes for the castling on the king side, and Murphy goes for c3 here, and after that the pawn is pushed to c3 here right now basically. So this knight comes to f6 before that, and after that pawn push to b5 is played. So the idea is that if you capture this bishop, the bishop get deflected, allowing you to haunt it with your own pawns. So first this b5 pawn is given up for free because you already got a pawn for free. It's okay. So c6 is played, attacking the bishop here, and once the bishop goes back to c4 here, you can just push the d5 pawn here and attack the bishop here. So once the pawn is captured here, the pawn is recaptured, and with the support of the knight, there is still an attack on the bishop here, but it's also open up the e file, and that because Murphy's king is uncastled, you can attack it. So the queen comes to e2, developing the queen and creating this check here, and Murphy goes for bishop to e6 and covers the check here, and also supporting this pawn structure here, acting as a tall pawn, and it's already a little bit active on this light square diagonal on this particular line here as well. So bishop drop backs to b3 is played here. A better move was to place the bishop here with the check, bring the knight around, maybe exchange it off if required, but that was the better move. Or you can just bring the bishop here and keep the pressure on. So castles on the king side Murphy, and you have this particular light square diagonal which is already semi-open. This pawn push and bringing the bishop here, but you can just defend it off with your own bishop as well. So d4 is played with the eye of bringing the bishop here and keeping it and taking control of this light square diagonal. But the knight now goes to e4, a better bringing the knight into this central outpost and making it quite a dangerous piece, but you can counter it with your own knight as well. A better move was to develop your queen side, Murphy's black's queen side, with this knight move, but he didn't play that. Now the bishop comes to c2 here. A better move was to bring the knight here and attack this knight, and that was the best idea, but he didn't go for that line, and this allowed the pawn to be pushed here. So now if you capture it, this pawn could recapture, creating this pawn structure in the center of the board, advanced pawn structure, and into the white's camp. So knight now jumps to d2 here, and attacking this particular knight here. As you can see, this bishop is stuck, and basically due to that these rooks are unconnected and creating problems. So white in the back rank as well. So knight to c6 is played now by Murphy, and pawn is pushed here to c4, and in this position basically Murphy is better in this position. The better move was to bring the knight around here, and this allows the bishop to capture the d4 pawn, because this pawn push weakens this pawn, which is only defended once with the knight. So bishop goes here and replaces the check. Normally you won't exchange of this bishop, this nice little defender bishop, for a pawn, but here that happens, and after the capture, the knight captures back with an attack on the queen as well, allowing you to win back a bishop for that traded bishop. So once the queen goes to d3 here, keeping the support for the bishop, a better move was to bring the queen over here and try to go for the capture, and you could just dismantle the pawn structure there as well. But this allows queen to go to b6 here, creating this discovered check probability. And with both these knights over here, it's already quite threatening over here. And the presence of this pawn basically means is that this is the gambit pawn. It was earlier captured in the opening. You cannot bring your queen over here, and also the bishop is pretty inactive as well. So even with an active bishop, you cannot bring it because of the pawn here. So king moves away from this discovered check opportunity, and basically knight captures the bishop here, queen captures back here. This allows knight to jump to f2 by placing the check here. So here, going to king to g1, it was played here. The best move was to capture the knight with the rook here, and the queen will capture back, and then you could just push h3, and the game will continue on. Yes, you are looking at pawn push, and Morphy will still win, but that was the better line. But here, this creates this smothered checkmate opportunity over here. Knight will now go to h3 with a check here. It's a double check both with the knight and with the queen here, and in such scenario you got to move the king, because if you cover it with this rook here, it's still this knight check. It's an illegal move. Still, the knight check is on. Because of that, you cannot play that move. So the king will have to go over here to h1, and once the rook, now the queen goes to g1 and sacrifices himself here. Here the king cannot capture because the knight is supporting the queen. Even though it's under attack, it's still supporting the queen. So the rook got to capture, and once the rook captures, the knight will just simply jump over here and places the checkmate. So the king here is smothered, and it's actually trapped by its own pieces, its own castle, and there is nowhere else for it to go to. And this is the smothered checkmate. So that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more such